Hi, this is Aptamer with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Wednesday, the 3rd of July. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which seems to have morphed itself into this rising trend channel now from October, so a slightly wider one than we have from December. And on that basis, we exactly hit both the floor of the channel and basically June support, 81.10. Above that, looking for the market to head back up to the 50-day moving average, and that May resistance line there just shy of 82.50, but at this stage not expecting anything better than that. Obviously that channel has a price channel top at 86.50, but obviously that is a long way away at the moment. On the downside, end of day close back below 81.10, and we're looking at the floor of that May channel around the 8,000 mark, but early days yet. RSI at 44, so the bias still rather to the downside in terms of being a sell into strength rather than a buy on dips. Moving on to the DAX, and here we can see that the market is clinging to the floor of that rising trend channel from September. The level there around 18,200, above that looking for the May resistance line there, 18,700, sometime later this month. The best cue for the upside there would be both, at least an end of day close back above the 50-day line at 18,400, and for the RSI now at 46 to get back above the neutral 50 level. Onto the Dow, and here I suppose it has been leading the way and still managing to hold above that rising 50-day line. We've had multiple tests for support above that line, and the fact that we've managed to avoid touching it on the dips is a bullish sign that suggests that the next stop will be a retest of 40,000 later this month. Early and end of day close back below the floor of the channel, currently around 38,800, but suggests that we have to head down for another retest of the 38,000 area. RSI at 58 in the upper 50s, and a bounce for the RSI above neutral 50, again a leading indicator on the upside, so that is looking encouraging. On to Bitcoin, where we've been holding our breath in terms of the price action here. A bull trap through 62,600, which is something we were fearing. Still have to factor in here a test of the 200-day moving average, 58,000, or even the March support line projection there heading for 56,400, unless we get a clearance of that 50-day line at 66,000. The fact that we fail below it is a negative, obviously, and the fact that it's also falling now does suggest that we have a risk of a rolling over for this market, and at least a test of the 200-day line. Moving on to gold, and here has been holding above 2,300, but not able to get through that May resistance line there, and the 50-day moving average around 2350 now. Need to see an end of day close through that to give us a chance of moving up to retesting the best levels ever towards 2450. Still have to factor in that we may have to test the May support area, 2285, 2280, something like that, before this market can correct itself to the upside. Moving on to the stocks, and very pleasing to see that Avacta continues to make progress. We had our first target there hit at 53 pence, and above 53 pence we've been looking for 63 pence, which is a March resistance line, top of that triangle from that month, and hopefully we'll get that over the next week or two, but we have to stay above 53, ideally even above the initial June resistance at 56 pence, but that might be a bit tight. Moving on to Aptamer, and here you can see that we've got signs of recovery here. Rising trend channel base. We've had the second gap higher now. First one was back in April, and found support above the top of the gap there around the 0.6 pence level. Above the floor of the channel now at 0.63, looking for up to 1.1 pence by the end of next month. Punchy call, but the shares have rallied in that way before, especially in April. Moving on to Blackbird, which has hit our, just about to hit our initial target there around the 6.25 pence level. In fact, I think we got up to 6 pence, 6.1 pence as a high. That's the high of the day so far. So just a little bit more, 6.25 would do the trick in terms of touching that line above 6.25, looking for now as high as 8.2 pence by the end of this month. And interesting that the price action there, just a whole series of positive candles there. So it looks as though Elevate may be elevating the situation there. Moving on to another charting victory, which is Clontarf. Here we were looking for 0.12 while we were above 0.07, and that's what the shares have delivered. Obviously, we come back a bit, but at the moment, hoping for proper consolidation at that 0.12 level, and then we can look for the next target there, but that one has worked well. The other point to note is that we've got the 200-day line now rising, so that suggests the shares in a run-up to a golden cross, and the run-up to a golden cross is normally the strongest part in the cycle, and has so far done so for Clontarf. ECR is next, where everyone and their mother claiming credit for this one, but we had our suspicions that the bear trap gap reversal was going to take the shares higher, gap through that resistance line from April at 0.29, and then after that we were looking for 0.38, and obviously that's been hit and exceeded actually initially today. End of day close above 0.38 would be the trigger for a move to 0.48, which is the upper parallel of that red resistance line projection from back in September. Only an end of day close now back below 0.29, really delaying the ongoing recovery there at ECR. On to first class metals, which had a decent announcement today, and here you can see that we have the first signs of a turnaround for the share price. Obviously, it's been a brutal bear market there, but we had a gap higher earlier in basically last month, and we've got another one again, another attempt to turn around. The main thing here probably is to either hit and then exceed the 3 pence level, which is the top of that April falling trend channel, and an end of day close today above the 50-day line around 2.63 would be helpful as well. Moving on to Firering, and here you can see that the shares have gapped up within a rising trend channel base. We had a failed gap fill, which is actually a positive, so we try to fill the gap down to 3.1 pence, but the share's too strong to do that, and looking for the stock to hit the top of that rising trend channel from back in January as high as 4.25 pence by the end of next month. Obviously we don't want to see the shares back below 3 pence again. Just the first signs of a turnaround at Hellenic. It's been obviously another brutal situation, but shares bouncing off the floor of the falling trend channel there from back in December. We don't want to see any price action back below the channel there at a penny, and above that looking for perhaps 2 pence over the next 1 to 2 months. Ideally, I think even a penny and a half would be gratefully accepted by holders of the stock at the moment, which was last month's resistance area. IX is next, and here, stock that I don't think anybody looks at, but here we have it. It is bouncing off the floor of that falling trend channel from there in back in November. The interesting thing here is that we are above the floor of the gap there, which is 11.5 pence, and end of day close above that, and we're looking for the shares to fill the gap up to 16 pence later this month, but the key here is staying above the floor of that gap. Haven't looked at Red Rock Resources for a long time, and you can see from the chart probably why I haven't done so, but we have actually gapped up since the end of last month, and holding now above the 50-day line at 0.05, above that looking for 0.75 hopefully later this month, even if the shares then back off again. You can see historically the shares have headed towards the 200-day line. In this case that is around 0.08, so maybe the shares will do the same thing again. We're backed by bullish divergence in the RSI window as well. On to sovereign metals, which should have been through the roof today. It's been up, but only 10%. But at least the good news here is that we've hit our red resistance line target there at 37 pence. In fact, the high 38 pence. So the charting has worked, and really looking for the shares to head back to 50 pence plus, which is where they were back in the spring of 2022. Upside valid while we hold above the floor of the latest gap at 33 pence. Above that, looking for 50 pence, hopefully as soon as the end of this month, and the gaps up and down, or especially the gap higher back in April, a decent signal there for the stock. On to TM1, otherwise known as Technology Minerals, and here again the first signs of a turnaround. It's been a brutal bear market as well, but decent news today and bullish divergence, so lower low yesterday, but RSI holding firm at the lowest levels, just under 20. Gap higher as well, so what we're looking for here is an end of day close above 0.37, recent resistance, and then a maximum target there up to 0.6 pence, maybe by the end of this month. Moving on to the last two, the first one is another stock which has been in a brutal bear market. It is UOG, but trying again to regroup. Rising trend channel base there, top of the rising trend channel at 0.29, and the sizzle at the moment, if you can call it that, is the way that the shares are pushing through a rising 50-day line. So take that as a leading indicator on the upside. So an end of day close above that 50-day line could be the first start, could be the start of a move up to towards the 0.3 pence area. Finishing off with a stock which has been a bit of a horror show, but here it's interesting that VAR seems to be trying to rehabilitate itself. We've got a W-shaped turnaround there. We need to close above 0.2 pence to unleash a potential move initially to the 50-day line, which is basically where the shares have failed in the recent past. 50-day line there at 0.26 pence. Looking for that over the next couple of weeks. We're backed by bullish divergence as well as the rebound off the floor of that broadening triangle. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.